setup for today's conversation, because truly anything that we desire, anything that we think that we need, doesn't come from out there. It comes from within. And so the reason I love our teaching is because it is a teaching of infinite freedom. And why is that? Why are we infinitely free? Because we're taking 100% responsibility. Not for the world per se, at least not yet. We're going to start little. We're going to take 100% responsibility for our experience. And as we do that, when we take that responsibility, really what we're doing is we're releasing blame. We're releasing the thought and the idea that anything out there in the world of appearances or conditions can impact my good, can be the source of power in my life. And when we can claim that, we rise out of 78% of the worldwide population that is mired in a victim-level consciousness. The minute we look in the mirror and change ourselves, the minute we take responsibility, the minute we release blame out there, and I'm not saying we transfer it to blame within. No, no, no. That's not what this is. In fact, we just let go of blame altogether. And that is really what forgiveness is about. This is what it's about. We rise out of that victim-level consciousness. This is the season of resurrection. We rise out of that victim-level consciousness. And we choose again. Anybody willing to walk that path? And I'm telling you that this path, what does the slide say? March, the theme is the power of forgiveness. And today we're talking about the power of projection, because projection is very powerful as well. But what forgiveness does is it neutralizes the negative impact of our erroneous projections until we can heal ourselves enough so all we're projecting is love. See, we still are going to be projecting, but it's what are we projecting? And that's contingent upon what mind we're aligned with. Are we aligned with the mind of love or aligned with the mind of fear? And how do you know? By the results. It's such a benevolent universe and setup. We're continuously getting the feedback all the time. All the time. What? Brittany, something's wrong with my hair? Yeah? Something's wrong with my hair? Oh, hang on, you guys. I just happen to have a mirror up here. Oh, my goodness gracious, you're right, Britt. I was out of alignment there. It's out of place. I got a little lipstick on my teeth, too. Here, let me fix it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to get that lipstick off my teeth, and I'm going to fix my hair. How's it working? Does it look any different, you guys? Does it look any different? Oh, the mirror. That's me. That's just a reflection. If I want to fix my hair, it's not going to work if I'm trying to adjust the reflection. I must go within myself. I must fix my hair and do it this way. Oh, that's better now. I can tell by the result in the mirror, not by trying to change it, but by going within to change myself. Now, that was a little hokey, perhaps, but the song just begged for it. Did it not? And you know what? We can become so heavy and serious about that subject of forgiveness. Can we not? It's like, oh, we're going to talk about forgiveness for the whole month? Well, Jesus said 70 times 7. And I don't think it was a one-time calculation. I think how I'm beginning to get it, how I'm beginning to discern it, is that it's every day. Just like how at the beginning of last month, the invitation was for us to begin to pause, release our breath, and take a breath. And in so doing, become aware. Oh, I'm the creator of my experience. Okay, what is this moment teaching me? And to continuously do that, not just in the morning or the evening, but throughout our day. And so there's a group of us who are particularly committed and disciplined in this practice, so we're saying we're doing it every hour for 3 to 5 minutes when we remember. And I think forgiveness is the same thing, that we bring that process to that moment of awareness. What am I here to forgive? What am I here to release? And we begin within. We continuously begin within. And so this is what we're doing during the season of Lent. I love this little illustration that Marcy made for me. When I was in practitioner training as a religious science practitioner, we had projects that we would have to do at the end of our classes. And religious science and unity are very similar in its metaphysical teaching. And the sower, I thought it was by Monet, but it's Van Gogh. The sower was an illustration that I used to represent how I viewed the teaching. And so the sower is walking through the field and planting the seeds. And the seeds that we plant become what later will become the harvest. And so the seeds represent the ideas that we have in our mind. And my invitation to our community has been that we become and cultivate the idea of being the wise gardener. We don't just take any old seeds. We pick them carefully, and with our pausing and our breathing and our awareness practice, we begin to look at what are the seeds, what are the thoughts, what are the beliefs, what are the ideas that I'm planting. And before I sow those seeds, I pick them carefully as a wise gardener. I pause and I align my mind with the mind of love that I call God. I don't make any decisions alone anymore. I used to think I did, but you know what? I wasn't. Because when I'm not making decisions from this mind, I'm making it from fear. I'm making it from lack or limitation or pain. And when I choose those seeds, that becomes my harvest. It becomes what is returned to me. And I can cut those down, but the seed's already planted. During this Lenten practice, we're looking at what is the crop that has come forth and what am I planting? And we become willing, if you have that booklet, we're continuously denying the seeds of fear, the ideas, the beliefs, the thoughts. To deny simply means that we give it no power anymore. And the most powerful way to deny a thing is to ignore it and to turn to the other seeds of love and plant those seeds. So we're continuously saying our yays and our nays. Our nays in unity come first. We deny first. And what are we denying? We're not denying anything you want. We're denying that which is false about ourselves. I'm not enough. I lack. I need something. We're beginning to deny that that has power, and we're affirming, I am enough. I'm a child of God. I don't inherit sickness. I am love, loving and lovable. I sow the seeds of love, and love returns to me. I've looked in the mirror. I've ceased blaming. I deny blaming the world, and I take responsibility for my experience. And so that's what we're really doing during this season. But is that not forgiveness? Is this not the same thing? I think it's really important to see how many times we're really saying the same thing. Forgiveness is a process of denying that which is not true and affirming what is true. It's releasing our erroneous judgments, and it's affirming what is true. And so we're in this forgiveness practice during this season, and we're doing it 70 times 7. And here's my suggestion. You know, the sower in that scene looks a lot like Camino. That's me on my Camino, day after day after day after day for 500 miles, walking through agricultural lands, vineyards, olive trees, all different kinds, cities, industrial areas, walking my path. Now, when I got the desire to walk that Camino, my first question was, can I physically do it? My hip was already bothering me, you guys. This was like 3 years ago. It was before my hip surgery. I didn't know if I could physically do this. And I thought, but you know what? I'll never know unless I try. I'll never know unless I start training. And so I started training. I started out small. I said to myself, if I can walk 4 miles a day, a couple days a week, and build up from there until I get to a certain number, I won't book my trip unless I know I can do it physically. I started small. When one goes to the gym and they start out a physical exercise program, you don't go into the gym and start with 50-pound weights, do you? You start out with 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and you work your way up. You build your muscle. And that's what we're doing here. When I offer forgiveness as a class or as a concept in a community, everybody brings their really big, 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 big forgiveness. There's been a lifelong thing, and they've already tried a million other programs on forgiveness, and they're still carrying it. And so my suggestion is that we start out with little everyday things. Somebody cuts me off in traffic. Like, start there. Don't start with mom and dad 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. Start small. And so that's something that I just put into the mix here. So when I was, we started our conversation last week, and my forgiveness practice in my life did begin with my father, big figure in my life. And when I was in my 20s, there were some things that happened when I grew up, when I was growing up, and I was very angry with my dad. And I didn't hide it very well. And he knew it. Everybody knew it. I would even be as strong as saying I hated him. Now, I didn't really, but I felt that way. I was holding a resentment and an anger that I couldn't seem to shake. And in my 20s, one of my sisters came up to me and said, honey, you better deal with this because you will regret it someday. And that began a lifelong journey with my father of forgiveness. And he was a man who was of a certain era. His name was Guido. He listened, to the music of the Rat Pack, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra. If you've ever watched the show Mad Men, that was my dad. He was very good looking, and he got in lots of trouble. And it caused some challenges in my family and in my parents' marriage that I took on as a young girl. And it really impacted me for a long time. But at some point, I'm the one who made those stories up. I'm the one who perpetuated those stories. I'm the one who carried it. I'm the one who made it mean what it meant for me. And when I talked to my 3 other sisters, it meant different things to them. We didn't have the same experience, even though we came from the same parents and family. And so we're all giving everything the meaning it has for us. And it's our choice at some point to mature into the realization that I'm doing it to myself and nobody's doing it to me anymore. Now, I had this gift where my dad to talk with me. I asked him for decades. We walked and talked. And I asked him all of the questions until I had none anymore. And I realized the pain he had gone through. And I saw life from his perspective. I understood his upbringing and where he came from. And I could acknowledge how he did so much better than where he came from. And fast forward towards the end of his life. By that time, for 20 years prior to that, actually, we were very close. We had a really good relationship. My dad was a lot of fun. He was, his name was Guido. I think I've shared that with you. Our family trips, we went to Vegas. And, I know how to shoot dice and play cards and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he was fun. He knew the spreads on all the football games. He was very much into that kind of energy, and I judged it a lot. But towards the end of his life, when we had this great relationship, he went in for surgery about 4 months before he died. And when he came out of that surgery, I was there. And he was waking up from the anesthesia. And when he saw his family around him, he started to weep. And they were tears that wet his face, and they made his eyes sparkle even more. And he was so happy to see us. And I could tell, I was in ministerial school at the time, and I could tell something had shifted in him. And so I said, "What happened, Dad?" I was studying near-death experiences and paranormal stuff at that time. And I'm like, something happened. And he just looked at me and he said that he had this experience where, and this is an obstacle course, where he understood and knew that life was an obstacle course. And that along the way, and he had been an athlete, so this made sense to him. And along the way in life, you have obstacles that you must overcome. And he could see that from that perspective, that's all it was. That it was just like what we talked about last week. That life is showing you what you need to learn. And we think of them as obstacles or challenges, or when we're really evolved, we might call them opportunities. But we're kind of saying it with a little energy, like, oh, we got this opportunity, But that is what they are. They're not tombstones. They're stepping stones. And those obstacles are informing us. And they're informing each of us in a different way. We're each on a different little obstacle course. And that every time we pause and we connect with the mind of God, and we realize we're the creator of our experience, and then we say, what is this moment teaching me? Gee, I'm feeling challenged. Gee, this isn't what I want my life to look like. We can ask it to teach us. What are we here to forgive? What thought am I to forgive? You see, forgive and forgets, that forget part, gets a bad rap in my book. Forgiveness means I'm willing to release how I see something. I'm willing to see it differently. I'm willing to stop judging it. I'm willing to stop complaining about it. Spirit, help me see it differently. Divine self, Christ of my being, let me see this differently. What is it teaching me? There's something to forgive. I'm holding a resentment. The forget part is I'm willing to forget the thought system that made the conditions I'm experiencing. I'm willing to withdraw myself from a former thought system to the point where I forget I ever thought I lacked anything, where I forgot. It's hard for me to conjure up how mad I was at my dad because I've forgotten that part of our relationship. It exists no more other than a teaching moment today. I've forgotten that. It's a different life. It's not my life anymore. It's not my story anymore. I am willing to forget my story about a thing. I'm willing to let it go. Moment by moment, breath by breath. My dad was so excited to have finally seen from a different perspective how his life was perfect just the way it was, the challenges, the bankruptcy, the challenges in his family, all of those things were his obstacle course that was teaching him what he needed to know, not to take him out, but so he could choose again. That's what forgiveness is, and that's the daily practice of it. Sure, we can get to your big, huge moments of forgiveness, and I've got a class and we can do that together. But let's just start with, gosh darn it, the time changed and nobody told me. Like, I wanted to blame my team. Why didn't y'all tell me? Right? No. Giggle. Laugh. It's funny, isn't it? It really is. We are funny. We do funny, silly things. Own it. We're creating it. Own it. So, don't read that yet. I got to spend some time with Wayne Dyer on YouTube. Isn't it fun how he's still alive and still teaching us, just like Yeshua? Isn't that cool? And he said, I don't know one person who's ever died from a snake bite. Not a one. You get bit by the snake, that may have happened, but it's not what kills you. What kills you is the venom that's coursing through the veins of your body. That's what our judgments are. That's what our resentments are. That's what kills us. That's what kills our spirit. That's what squashes our desires. It's that. Are you willing to let that go? Are you willing to let go? This is the point when I ask a question like that where I want to hear, hell yes, I'm ready to let it go. We can say hell in here. That's part of the story. Hell yes, I'm ready to let that go. And what inspired Wayne Dyer was this quote, pre-Christ by 200 years. If you become steadfast in your abstention abstention, abstinence of thoughts of harm directed towards others, in my case, my father, or blame of any kind that I'm going to cast out, that's projecting out. If I can abstain from that moment by moment, 70 times 7, every single day, all the little ways you might have thoughts of harm that you direct out to somebody else. Oh, we can spend all day long on this. All living creatures will cease to feel enmity in your presence. All living creatures will stop being against you. It begins within. It begins within.